There's a great rock classic that goes, "It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll." And since no one rocks the top like Ray-Ban, you can be sure that the work behind it must be truly enormous. Suffice it to say that if everybody all over the world automatically knows what you're talking about when you mention Ray-Ban, it's because the brand identity is perfect. It speaks for itself. And there's no other way to maintain and evolve this identity than through products and materials technology. Everything starts with a strategy and trends. And these determine which technologies and materials to use. This is how we make the Ray-Ban brand identity real, new, and yet always perfectly recognizable in every single collection in terms of the shapes, colors, weight, etc. Trust me, it's not easy to do. For every step, there's a very precise and detailed methodology to follow. But fortunately for us, today we'll be speaking with Lucia Morini, Ray-Ban Product Strategy Director, who's the perfect person to tell us how the real heart of this legendary brand works, the product. Please welcome Lucia.
Hi.
Hi, Lucia.
Hi, Jenny.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. So I'm one of those people that every time I see a new Ray-Ban model that I love, I ask myself, how does this happen?
Okay, so it's a big team, of course, and we have a lot of minds that try to, let's say, create the perfect collection. But let's try to synthesize in one word what we do every day. So the beginning is the consumer. So what we think first before write down the collection is the consumer that will be the one that will buy that specific collection. So their passions, their habits, their dreams, their futures. So we really try to understand, to cover as much as possible all our consumers with a specific collection. And then, of course, we start to write the strategy. And the strategy starts with the product segmentation. So we have two main souls on the collection. The first one is the iconic soul, and the second one is the seasonal soul. So let's start from the iconic one. So the icons are the shapes that are really well recognized from our consumers. So the shapes that are on your mind and you recognize immediately as an icon of Ray-Ban. So it's the Aviator, Wayfarer, Clubmaster, Round. So that shapes, of course, needs to be treated as the Bible for us because it's 50% of our sales. So we work a lot on new trends, with new colors, with new materials, try to refresh every season with new ideas. And of course, we also try to introduce new icons from our past archives to make sure that we also create new trends on the icons. So this is the iconic part of the segmentation. And the other part that, of course, you need to cover is the seasonal trends. So shapes that are actually cool and trendy for the moment, but you don't know about the future. So you need to cover the gap that you have with your icon with the rest of the collection. So the seasonal, more, let's say, technical part and so on. And all together is that you create the full collection.
So Ray-Ban has created an incredible number of true icons that are loved and known all around the world. So clearly Ray-Ban knows how to make an icon. And so the question is it the pair of glasses that becomes an icon because it reflects the spirit of the times? Or is there something in the design that somehow becomes eternal?
Icons tell us about the life, ideas, dreams of the era in which they were created. So the answer for sure is both of them, okay? But the important thing is that you create a design that will pass different generations. So not just the first one where they were created, but also go through new generations in the future. And this is the most important part. So if you take the Wayfarer, when it was invented on 1952, Wayfarer was really tough. Why? Because it was bold, has the pantoscopic angle that actually it's really tough, a hinge that was a specific hinge, chunky temples, so it was weird, of course. But what happened? Started to become really popular with Hollywood and with a lot of movies. And what happened? Became something on the common language of our consumers. So they started to understand and to recognize that shape, not just like a weird frame, but something really classic and comfortable to wear on the common language. So what happened to Wayfarer is the coolest frame that you can have also now on the 2023.
It's amazing. So basically you're saying that on the one hand we've got the icons, and on the other hand we have the seasonal models. So I'm just thinking behind that, you got to develop sort of the general architecture, right? So how do the first ideas start to circulate?
Okay, so we work with 3 different arms. The first arm is the trends department. So we have a huge trend department that try to catch the future trends. So something that are not cool or feasible in this period, but something that will be cool and feasible on the next 3 years, okay? And they work a lot thinking about the new generations, their needs, their passions, their habits, something that will be futuristic for us to think about now, okay? So we take these trends on the table. Plus we work with our R&D department, so thinking about new materials, new hinges, new effects or new treatments, new constructions, something that you think it's important to include on the new collection. And the third part is our markets. So we actually listen to our markets to make sure that their needs are included and involved on the new developments.
Wow, so you're saying you basically have a department that's only dedicated to looking for trends and finding like astonishing things to be able to propose. That's
correct.
Amazing. So how does all of that, all of these new novel issues get translated and integrated into an actual pair of glasses?
Well, this in particular is a capsule that we just created for the summer release. So this is really cool, actually, and the beginning was with our research department to discover something, let's say, really trendy on the market and something that could be a seasonal summer idea for Ray-Ban. Then, of course, we took Wayfarer because it's one of the best sellers on Gen Z, and we wanted to catch that specific consumer. So they started to think about festivals. So the idea was festival. So after 2 years of COVID, of course, people want to, let's say, enjoy their life, go out, listen music, be around their friends. So the idea behind was really cool and really Ray-Ban on the DNA, on our values. They started to create mood boards around with this kind of attitude. So thinking deeper on Gen Z, what they want, what they discover on a festival, what they're looking for, and put together some new ideas in terms of finishing, in terms of colors, and so on. And then, of course, we started with our big research with our designers to understand which are the specific colors to interpret in the best way that capsule. And of course, we came with dedicated color Pantone for that specific shape to make sure that the idea that you have when you touch this Wayfarer summer capsule is, of course, the happiness to be outside, to be in a festival, to enjoy your life. So it's cool because our dedicated colors and the combination with the lenses are coming really well, actually, because it's an explosion of emotions just in one frame.
Excellent. So you mentioned before that every collection has its own architecture, right? and you got to balance the more classic elements with the newer elements, the bolder bits with the more timeless parts. I don't suppose that going from that, it could be so easy to come up with an entire collection. How do you go from individual pieces to an entire collection?
Well, this is the hardest part of my job, I'm honest, because we, at this point, we just wrote the strategy, correct? We wrote the passports, and we challenged all our designers worldwide to design the best frames and sunglasses that they can never design, correct? And at this point, what happened is that we are coming out with 1,000 on designs worldwide, okay? And then you start to make a selection. And the selection, of course, needs to go on prototypes. Why? Because you want to touch the final frame. You want to wear it. You want to see the fitting, how it looks like, the thickness, the material. You want to figure out the final results. So you start from 1,000 of designs worldwide, and you come up with 100 of prototypes. Why? Because you need to touch them. So you want to have some final prototypes to see the fitting, how they look like in your face. So of course, you end up with the final selection of 10 shapes. And this is the most important part, but of course also the hardest one. Why? Because sometimes you love one specific frame, but doesn't match with the rest of the collection. So you need to not select that specific one because it doesn't match with the rest of the sunglasses selected. So the important part is that you come up with 10 shapes that are not the best shapes that you can never create, but also the best sellers and the best performers that you can never create and select, of course. So we have a budget and a target that we need to reach, and this is what we want to do with that specific release.
So let's get back to the idea of icons, right?
Yeah.
So when you have to integrate innovative ideas into an authentic classic, how do you do that? I mean, here we've got a Wayfarer, which is a classic that I've always loved throughout my entire life. It's always been like the coolest pair of glasses out there. So on the one hand, you might say that the design's already perfect and it can handle like anything. You can make whatever changes you like. But on the other hand, you're starting to think, well, but we can't really change too much because we still have to respect the design, right?
Correct.
So how do you manage to make that balance?
Well, it's an interesting question. The important thing is that you recognize the iconic element on that specific shape. So sometimes it's the shape by itself, but sometimes like in this case, will be the hinge, because the hinge is a specific patented hinge, the pentoscopic angle, the rivets on the top. So you have specific elements that you need to keep the same. And then you work around, meaning you can work on the thickness, you can work on the material, you can work on the treatment, matte instead of shiny, you can work on lenses, but with these elements, you can do whatever you want, but everybody will recognize that specific shape as the iconic Wayfarer, okay? So what we did in the past, we did a full carbon fiber Wayfarer, so super light, super cool, a different thickness, different material, different weight, but keep is the same Wayfarer. So that was something that was easy because you don't touch the iconic elements that are actually the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or what we did in the past, we did also the Wayfarer made on denim, or the Wayfarer with shiny effects on the frame. So you can do whatever you want, but the important thing is that you recognize the icons also with a different dress.
Well, thank you so much for giving us all of this expert advice about what goes on behind the scenes of a Ray-Ban collection. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Danny.
Okay, so now Lucia has told us everything we need to know about the method Ray-Ban uses to design all its frames. We also learned how trends and strategy influence the choice of technologies, materials, and colors. And we've been given some great practical examples. But are you ready to pass the test? Now's the time to find out. See you soon.